Welcome back to the channel. This is a stock market update for the ASX 200 and S&P 500 indices. Now, last time I posted, this was the chart. This is the ASX 200 on a 240-minute bar chart, and it was descending in an expanding triangle pattern, and it had just broken through this trend line, but it was still within this area of resistance. Now, this is the updated chart. So this is just before opening on the 7th of May 2025. And, it gets to the point when you draw trend lines down and then it gets broken, and it seems to be getting resistance at another trend line, and you can redraw the trend line and redraw the trend line, and in the end of the day you're going to have a sort of fan lines coming down. But it gets to a point when the descending expanding triangle was not the pattern, and I think when it broke this red B wave high, that was definitely the deciding factor. And last time I said that I could change my mind if prices broke through the area of resistance impulsively, came back and back tested it and moved higher. Well, they've certainly sort of gone higher. Prices have gone higher, but not quite as impulsively as I would have wanted if that scenario was playing out. And we haven't really had a decent back test and a move up from there. It's just the trend has just grinded higher. And at the moment, we're at the 78.6 Fibonacci retracement zone from or between blue A and the previous all-time high. So I guess if it's not a descending triangle, what's happening? Well, what we do know is this first move down off the high counts nicely in three waves. Then we've got a three-wave rally that I've got labelled red wave B, and then this move lower is in three waves. Now, if you were to zoom in on this last move down, that can count in five. But this first move here, this is what I've got labelled A, this is no doubt three waves. So we have a 3, 3, 5. So, we've got three waves down, and three waves doesn't tend to move unless you're talking WXYs and so forth, double threes, triple threes, but I don't think we've got that. So we've got 3, 3, 3. So at the moment I've got this as an A. I guess it could be an X, but I don't think this pattern is over. And since then, off this low, as I mentioned in the last update, we've got a sharp move higher in three waves. We come back, and then we've got a more sideways move at a lesser angle. So to me, that it's not a wave three. So I'm not going to be counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It still looks very corrective, and it still counts nicely as an A, B, C up to this high. I mean, you can see in here 1, 2, 3, sideways triangle for 4, and then this last move, if you zoom in on, say, a 30-minute time frame, it just counts nicely as a 5 waves with an extended third. So it fits the count at the moment. Now, you can argue whether this should be an X, a Y, or A, B, but at the end of the day, it's going to play out the same. I think what we're going to see is a move lower. Now, if it's an A, B, the C waves are 5 waves. This, how I've drawn it, isn't exactly to scale. Wave 3s are normally extended longer, but it just does give an indication of where I think things are going to lower prices, basically. So at the moment, we've come off the highs. We're sort of starting to break. There wasn't any big movements in the S&P overnight, so we'll just have to see how things develop. But that's the count I'm going with at the moment. Now, having a quick look at the S&P, this was the chart, the 240-minute chart on the previous update, and the S&P 500 was lagging the ASX because we hadn't even got to this upper trend line. So this is how the S&P stands at the moment, and it's a bit like the ASX was some days ago. We're broken through this trend line, and look, it did get resistance around this area, and that looks like a nice sort of a triangle wave 4 actually. But I think until this wave 2's broken to the upside, we can still count this as a wave 4. But whether you're going to talk ABCs or however you label it, at the end of the day, we've got it's the same situation as the ASX. We've got a sharp rally, we pull back in 3 waves, and then we've got sort of rising prices, but at a more shallower angle. So it's the same situation as the ASX. So at the moment, I think the same things is in store for the S&P. We should see lower prices. And if I just go back to the ASX on the longer term to finish off, this is my longer term chart. It's a weekly chart on the ASX cash index. I've had this zone on the chart for a very long time. I think this is probably the maximum it could go to. Typical retracements are between 50% and 61%, but I think if we come lower, and especially if we break this wave W lows, which offers quite a bit of resistance on the weekly chart, even going back here, I think if we break this level, then we could fall quickly, and we could see prices spike down to even as low as here. So that's the update for now. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe for future updates.